Hello everyone, it is Thursday the 16th of May. I'm Daniel Maddox and I'm just saying. Today I would like to talk about a few things. The main thing is governmental crime and the punishment thereof. It appears to me that more and more and more all across the globe, especially in America, governments everywhere are just committing horrendous acts of crime very publicly, and they're getting caught for it all the time. And I've talked to many people about Obama and his crimes because of Obamagate, which is the Benghazi. You know, it's a term that Alex Jones coined because Watergate, Nixon, Obamagate, it's the same thing. He hopes that will set the notion that it's going to bring him down, which it very well could if people will wake up and hold the government accountable for the things that they are doing. Benghazi is, of course, Obama and Hillary Clinton colluding together to order a stand down in Benghazi of the embassy there. Yeah, the embassy in Benghazi. They ordered the stand down, and the people died. The ambassador died, and the Marines that were protecting them died because Obama ordered the stand down so that they could use that as an excuse, as a diversion tactic, so they could bring in 10,000 heat-seeking missiles for Al-Qaeda, which the government sponsors. And if you don't believe that, which it sounds insane, doesn't it? Go look it up. Look up Obama, type it into Google right now, or whatever search engine you use. I suggest you use Xquick, ixquick.com, which doesn't use any search results from Google, but that's another issue. Just type in Obama is head of Al-Qaeda, or Obama controls Al-Qaeda, or U.S. government funds Al-Qaeda. Right now, we are sending tens of millions of dollars to the Al-Qaeda in Syria to help them fight the Syrian government, which has never done anything wrong. Don't get me wrong. You know, there's lots of things wrong in Syria, but compared to his father, Assad is a saint. And we are in there to destabilize the region. Syria is the next target, and after that it'll be Iran, or whoever else that the globalists want to destroy. And they're just using it as a political weapon, as a means by which they will spread fear and hatred and disharmony. And it's just another huge excuse to take away your rights. All these things, perpetual fear in the government, in society at large. How many people do you talk to that are worried about a flu, or are worried about terrorism, or worried about crime, or worried about people with guns? I've talked to several people all the time about all these issues, and some of them are very awake, some of them are very asleep. And that is the point of I'm Just Saying, and this news network that I'm starting here, this channel. This is my effort, my attempt to spread knowledge in whatever fashion I can. And anything I say, I implore you, do not take it, you know, at face value. You just look at it, look it up yourself. Benghazi, Obama, the Boston Marathon bombing, all these things, look it up. Just type in anything that you want to know what people think about, or if there's something that you're unsure about in life, about what's going on in the world, type into YouTube or into Xquick or whatever search engine. Just say the truth of Obama, truth of Boston Marathon bombing, truth of Benghazi, truth of fluoride in the water, truth of GMO, truth of geoengineering, which is chemtrails. These are all things that you hear about every day. These are all things that come to mind, and many of the people that I talk to, dismiss it out of hand. Oh, that's a conspiracy theory. Everything's a conspiracy theory. Oh, I brush my teeth. Oh, what are you, a conspiracy theorist? Something so plain as day, something so normal becomes a conspiracy theory. Because the truth is the enemy right now to the power structure. The truth is it's so freeing and so empowering to know the truth. And that is the greatest enemy of tyranny, is that freedom. It's that voice inside all of us, that spiritual essence of freedom. I want to be free. I want to know things. I want to be involved. I need to interact. But that is not in their best interests, because the best interest is a docile people that will do whatever you say, people that say, oh, you need a vaccine? Yeah, you need a vaccine. You take a vaccine. Oh, you need this vaccine. 2 days later, you're dead. You go into the hospital, you know, for whatever reason, you get sick, you get a bacteria, and you get very sick. And then it's like the fear that they spread is perpetuated by them. They come up with the problem and the solution, and if they can control those two things, then they have all the cards. But unfortunately for the government and the globalists that control them, and this is what I want to really, this is the point I really want to get across, is that not all the people in the government are bad. In fact, the majority of them are good, the vast majority. But the people at the very top, they are being controlled and manipulated. Sure, there are people that aren't, but all of them really have something to do with it, or they know about it, and they're fighting for it in their own way, or they're completely colluding with it. And they're not just people controlling other people within the government. They're globalists. They're foreign bankers. They're foreign entities that have their hands in everything. Just look up corruption and corruption in America. America is the #1 place for corruption. And people will tell me, well, that's not true. America's not corrupt at all. Or maybe there's a little bit of corruption. And more people are agreeing that, yeah, maybe it's a little corrupt. And it's not because these people just refuse to see it. It's because everything that they've ever been told, everything that they've ever believed is either a flat-out lie, or it's been manipulated so well over such a period of time that they've just, you know, it's called normalcy bias. It's where it's become normal that terrorism reigns. It's become normal that it's a police state. It's become normal that everything that is contrary to the governmental narrative is a conspiracy theory. It automatically becomes void because you put a label on it quickly. Oh, that's a conspiracy theory. A Boston Marathon bombing being set up, and that there was a drill by the government, and there was 50 people with black backpacks, and they were all looking at the exact point of where the bomb went off, and then they just happened to disappear right when the bomb went off. That's a conspiracy theory. It didn't happen, even though there's countless pictures, countless photos of it, and video. Conspiracy theory. Even though they talked about it, and you know, there's just a massive proof. Government says, do not look at this. The FBI actually said after the Boston Marathon bombing, do not look at this. Do not look at any other photos of any other things, any other websites, but what we tell you. Why would they do that? Why would they say, limit everything you see and everything you believe to what you tell you, to what we tell you? What does that remind you of a book you read in high school, 1984, circa, perhaps? Or does it not remind you of anything? Is that just the norm? And then the people have this mass Stockholm syndrome, where they just quickly lie down and die. They roll over and they say, no, yep, I'll take the vaccine. Of course you can search my pants, my body. Of course you can do a full body scan of me at the airport. TSA, please. Of course, I'm doing my part for America. And is that right? Does that sound like the America you were raised to believe in? And people say, well, you're not a patriot. You're, you know, who are you? You're a conspiracy theorist. You're a terrorist. You're this, that, and that. And all those labels will distract you from even hearing what I'm saying. Is there a debate? Can you debate with me? Can you even hear what I'm saying? Can you hear and then say, no, I don't agree with that, which would be fine. But instead, I'm a conspiracy theorist. Alex Jones is a conspiracy theorist. Matt Drudge is a conspiracy theorist. Michael Savage is a conspiracy theorist. Glenn Beck is a conspiracy theorist. All these people, they're all conspiracy theorists. And I have my differences of opinion with Glenn Beck and Michael Savage and many other people, and even, you know, Alex Jones and Matt Drudge, there's times when I disagree with them, and that's healthy. It's healthy to have your own opinion. If you do not have your own opinion, you're just a blob. People do not respect people who have no opinions. How can they respect you? How can they respect someone who just goes along with everything? Who just, oh yes, that's right. You're a lemming. You're a lemming. You're just being controlled, manipulated, and you have no opinion. You're going to just walk off the cliff because that's you. It's trendy. It's trendy to just follow. You know, people who are Democrats or Republicans or Libertarians or whatever else, you follow along this path that they created for you, this illusion of choice. And is it really your choice? Whatever they say as a Republican, there's plenty of die-hard Republicans who go along with the party, and yet they might even completely disagree, or with what's being done. Or there's the Democrats, and I mean, I associated myself as a Democrat for the longest time, and I think I am still. Yeah, I voted Republican to get I became a Republican so that I could get Arnold Schwarzenegger in office, and what a sham that is. And all of us come to points in life in which we recognize that the things that we previously believed are no longer true to us. They no longer ring true. They are no longer the things that resemble our core beliefs. And it was the same thing with Obama. I was totally, entranced by Obama when he first came. I told all my friends, of course he's going to win. And a lot of my friends from the South they totally scoffed at the idea that Obama could possibly become the president. But I saw the trend. I saw people's need for a total change in things after George Bush. And it's so easy to get swept up in their promises. But if you look at what people promise, politicians, Obama has made countless promises, and he has fulfilled none of them. None of them. Well, except Obamacare. He said he would get Obamacare in. But he said, this is one of his campaign promises, and I know I'm going on a rant on totally different issues, and I said that I would talk about governmental crime and the punishment thereof. I'll get to that in a second. Obama said he promised he would give the public 5 days to read any bill before it was passed, and then there would be total transparency. Not even the Senate or Congress could see the bill of Obamacare when he tried to pass it. He said it needs to be passed now. It was like a 500-page bill or whatever it is. That's not accurate. I forgot what it was. Maybe it was 2,000 pages. I think it was. Not even they could see it. He said, no, just pass this. It's for the good of the nation. And he said he would give Americans 5 days to look at all the bills before, and then they could say if they agree with it or not. Didn't even give Senate or Congress 5 days. Didn't even give them 5 hours. He said just pass it. Just pass it. And Nancy Pelosi and the Speaker of the House and all those people that they went along with it, and they totally supported him. And they said, yeah, just pass this bill. And so many of Obama's promises have just been swept under the rug, and people are they're just in a trance. And I see these people riding around in their cars, and it says Obama on the back of their car on the highway. Obama, And it's not Obama and Biden or anything like that. It's just Obama. And it's like, are you serious? Are you really, supporting him in that way? And people support him for a majority of different reasons, but they don't look at his policies. They don't look at actually what he's doing. Because people don't have time to look into what politicians that they voted in are actually doing. They just listen to what they hear on the radio. They listen to Obama say, turn your guns in. 90% of the population is pro, turning in the guns and banning in the guns. That is like the falsest statement in history. Not 90%. That's a completely contrived number, and he just lies continuously. But he does so in such a liberal and trendy voice, and he does it like this, and that, and people say, oh yes, of course, Obama, yeah. He's just trying to do good, and he can't get any of it done because nobody will allow him, because there's so much greed in politics and so much of this and that, and of course he can't get anything done. Look at all these people who are opposed to him. They're all crazies. They're all right-wing extremist gun owners, Christians and Catholics, and of course we need to stop them, and of course everybody needs to be metrosexual and have no opinions and just follow along with the trends, because that's the new world that we're living in today. And all this old world stuff, that just needs to be kicked under the rug, That's the thing that had repressed me and, suppressed my my personality for so long, and so now I need to you just blindly support, Democrats and liberalism, and of course we need to turn in all the guns, and we need to institute Nazi Germany in America, which is already happening, and we love people in uniform, and of course we need to praise the police state, and it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. Of course, people would say that. Of course, people would blindly follow, because this is how society has been programmed. This is how society has been worked. And not that there's anything wrong with being metrosexual or with having, that's your business. That's everyone's own right to decide for themselves, what they will hold as true and dear to them. But this is the ethos. This is the environment that they are forcing down people's throats, so that they are so easily manipulable. And so, to get back to governmental crime, Obama needs to be tried. Obamagate for sure, and all the others will follow. Once you get into a committee, Obama has already been tried as a war criminal. So has Bush and Cheney and Condoleezza Rice and all these other people. That was the same day of the Boston Marathon bombing. They were all tried by an independent group of both Democrats and Republicans as war criminals. But that was conveniently disappeared from the news because of the Boston bombing. And then the next day they took away all the gun rights, and they passed all these bills to try to limit gun use and gun registration, and all these laws that take away your Second Amendment, your First Amendment, and every other amendment in the Constitution, because in the same breath as saying that he will defend the Constitution and he believes in it, in the same breath, but we must destroy the Constitution because it's outdated and it's limiting my power. Literally, look it up. Look at the transcripts, the teleprompter of what the teleprompter transcript of what Obama has said. Just read it. And then at the same time, superimpose that with what he's promised and with what's going on in the world, and your eyes will widen, and you'll be like, "Oh my God, this can't be happening. This can't be true. How could that be so blatantly contradictory?" Well, because you're living in a lie. Because America is a lie. Because America it's the new America. America already was the new promised land, but now it's another new promised land of the police state and brutal tyranny. And if you don't believe that, that's fine. If you don't agree with that, that's fine. But do not just shrug it off and say, "Oh, that I don't believe that. I don't agree with that." That's fine if you don't agree with it. But look it up. Look into it. This is the most important issue that will ever happen in your life. Not your girlfriend, not your grades, not what your parents are struggling with, or this and that. Although those are all issues that, should be dealt with. The most important thing in history at this very moment is what we're living through right now. The total tyranny, not of just America, but of the globe. And if you can't see that, if you aren't talking to people that are talking about this, you should seriously consider reworking your social network. And I'm not just talking about, changing a couple friends list and group invitations on Facebook. I'm talking about the actual social network, the people that you interact with daily. And start listening. Start opening your mind. Because Obama is going to be tried. Hillary is going to be tried. Everybody in the government that isn't on the list of people that the government is watching, that's who we're going to go after. Because the governments are making lists. It's not the Germany. Who in your family has all these right-wing extremist views or is disapproving of the government? Look it up. Look it up in any publication you wish. Government looks for people with anti-government views. They're doing this on college campuses all across the nation. People who are opposed to the government. People who own guns. People who are too patriotic. Excuse me? Patriotism has now become a terroristic act? How did that happen? Well, it happened because people who are true patriots know the Constitution, know their rights, and defend their rights. Cannot be. No. Those people are real extremists. Watch out, Timmy. If you see someone waving an American flag and have a shirt with the Constitution on it, they're the number one suspect. Number one suspect. That's right, people. The Constitution and the people that follow it, #1 suspects for terrorism. But, you see it on television all the time now. Right wing, left wing, doesn't matter which wing, that they're talking about. These people who are, they care about their rights, and they have guns, and they know their rights, they are the extremists. Because, of course, anybody who has a gun is a total lunatic in their eyes. And I had this conversation with somebody that I met while traveling in Costa Rica at a hostel there while I was writing one of my books. And she told me, we started talking about Boston Marathon bombing, and I was telling her about all this, all the government people that were there and all the people with black backpacks and how they were all trying to blame people, right-wing extremists, and then they quickly changed that around their story once it completely made no sense. And once they showed all the pictures and videos of everything that was going on, the government was in panic to try to cover up the drill and everything that they were doing. And I started talking, and she's like, oh my God. Like, literally, like, you could see the blood drain from her face. She's like, oh my God, you're pro-gun, aren't you? And she had an itch on the back of her neck, like it was some kind of disease or some kind of, oh my God, it's a plague, these people with guns. And you could just see the trance and the programming encoded in her vision. And she just put her hand up and said, I can't even have this conversation with you. And I said, all right. And I just sat there, 2 seats away from her with a group of Norwegians and some Canadians there at the hostel that we were at. And and it's like you could just feel there was this feeling in the air, this heaviness, like it was a tenseness. And the other people that were there barely even noticed that we were having a conversation, so I don't think many of them were into it, but they could feel it. And my friend, my Canadian friend from Quebec, he looked at me and was like, what's going on here? Like, he knows, he's awake. And I didn't say anything, and I had to actually leave because, I wasn't going to ruin the whole situation for them. And they were talking about totally unrelated issues. And they had already heard my opinion and see the videos that I'd shown them about the government and everything. And a lot of them just couldn't believe it or didn't want to hear it. Or even people that had looked into it, they just wouldn't have it. You know what I mean? They weren't having it. And so I walked away, but she heard what I said, and she integrated it at some level, but on the face of it, she couldn't have it. And I've met so many people like that, and you have to understand that most Democrats, most people that love Obama, most people that blindly follow him and whatever he say, they instantly, no, I will not listen to this, I will not accept this. Is that mass delusion, mass hysteria, mass Stockholm syndrome? And mass Stockholm syndrome is where you have become embedded in the belief that your captors, that the people that are actually hurting you are your saviors, and that you will roll over and do whatever they say because it's learned helplessness. And you look up all these terms. Look up learned helplessness. Look up mass Stockholm syndrome. Look up, mass delusion. Any of these things, and the normalcy bias. Look at these terms, look at what they mean, and see the implication of it in the society that you live in. Are people under mass Stockholm syndrome? Are they under mass normalcy bias? Look at it. Talk to your family and your friends. Do they seem delusional to you? And that will be hard to do if you are not yourself awake at some level. And you don't have to feel bad about not being awake or feel threatened by me saying awake or asleep. I am not trying to judge you. We are not trying to judge you. We are simply saying open your mind to possibility. The largest prison that you will ever inhabit in your life is that of your own consciousness, of that of your own mind. And if you cannot break free of that prison, your whole life will be a controlled scenario, because everything within the box that you cannot escape is controlled. The greatest freedom in your life is escaping that box, and that's what they mean by thinking outside the box, because the box is the prison in which we all live. It's the matrix. The matrix is the greatest analogy ever created, really, because we're all living in a matrix. Not only in the mental sense, when our minds are being controlled and manipulated, and if you cannot escape it, then you are within the matrix. Not only that, but perhaps even in the total sense of the matrix, where the whole world, the whole universe is a simulation. Look that up. Look that up. See what I'm talking about. The scientists are already talking about the world being, the universe being in a simulation, because they can see the equations that would actually resemble, would resemble a mass illusion, a mass simulation. They can see the possibility already there. And if you can accept that, the more that you, or perhaps not accept, if you can believe it. Can you believe it? You don't believe in God? Fine. Can you believe that He exists? If you flat out say no, then you're an atheist. And there's nothing wrong with being an atheist, or a Christian, or a Catholic, or a Muslim. These are all just names and titles. But I disagree with any form of thought that completely restricts your thinking. If your religion, if your school, if your thoughts box you in and leave no room for possibility, then you're living in a total prison. And I encourage you, beyond all words, to rethink that frame of mind, to remain within a box forever. Because the box is not your friend. The box is the means by which you are enslaved. And the end is so horrible that you will there is nothing worse than living your life out in that box and then coming to the end of your life cycle and totally realizing how long you've been in it and how much you've been manipulated. And the end is not a pretty place. It is the worst place possible. And I'm not going to get into that right now. That's a subject for another I'm Just Saying message. But just think outside the box. Allow yourself to realize endless possibility. But as my mom says, do not, have an open mind, but not so open that your mind falls out. Because having such an open mind that you can believe absolutely anything is the same as living inside the box. You can be manipulated very easily both ways. Keep your wits about you, but be able to think outside the box. Be able to think inside the box as well. Be able to think in any box, or in any structure, or outside in any structure. But have your wits about you. No up is up and down is down. But realize that up could be down and down could be up. Because that is critical thinking. That is thinking in ways that allow your mind to expand. And I know I've gotten off on a terrible tirade, which is what I'm known for. That's just what I do, because I have so much to say, and I know I should, really reason and structure my arguments much better. And that's something that I'm working on, believe me. So back to the government. Like I said, they will be tried as war criminals, and they will be convicted as long as we have an independent, tribunal that is not of the government, because that would be so easily twisted as it usually is. Until we start trying these criminals in the government, until people start going in jail in mass, because they're all criminals, mostly. Geithner and Obama and almost everybody in his team. I would be surprised if there wasn't somebody in his cabinet that wasn't responsible for some horrendous crime. They're all going to jail, and they're all going to be tried, and actually jail would be the best place, the best outcome that they could possibly hope for, because the things that they have done, the crimes that they have committed are so horrendous, so absolutely evil, and I mean that. If there's anything I mean that. Evil actions. I was raised Catholic, became an atheist, and now I believe that the universe and everything in it is energy. And we are a part of that energy. So in that sense, God is everything, and we are a part of God because we are a part of that everything. But there are forces in this universe that go towards order and towards love and towards unity and towards freedom, and that there are those totally opposed to that. And the actions that Obama and the people inside the government have taken are in opposition to order. They are in opposition to good and to harmony and to unity and to freedom. If you look at anything that they have done, truly look at what they have done, and you do not concentrate so much on what they're saying and concentrate on what they are doing, you will see this. And it is terrifying, but we will beat them. We can beat them, and we already have in some way, because it is an info war, as Alex Jones says. You can look him up at Infowars.com or on YouTube or at prisonplanet.tv or Matt Drudge, who is also an independent alternative news source. Matt Drudge and Alex Jones, they are the people who are really talking about what's happening. And you know that they are independent because all the other prostitute media, that's ABC, NBC, MSNBC, not even if NBC is one, but CNN, Fox News, they're all just prostitute media. They do whatever they are told, and anybody who knows anything about the media knows that these people are totally unreliable, that totally whitewash issues. They may bring up an issue that's actually relevant, but they'll totally whitewash it with the title or with the words. Like I've read articles in which they talk about people that are totally addicted to top ramen and look that up for people that have unusual eating habits. And it talks about how she snarls at her parents and becomes very aggressive and crazed, and when she doesn't have her top ramen, and it's like a 5-year-old who thinks they're the king and totally backlashes at their parents and rule them. Is that healthy? Is that But the media, the point is that the media would spin that and say, well, that's unusual, but that's okay. People have their eating habits, and you read what they're actually saying, the quotes of what they're actually saying, and it's totally shocking. And then the next sentence is what the news article is talking about it, and like, well, that's what people's choice is, and totally whitewash it. Whitewashing is when they take an issue, they report on it, but the language of the article is such that, well, oh well, you don't have to worry about that. Here's the news, have it in your consciousness, but do not actually think about it. And that's the prostitute media. And they're all attacking Matt Drudge and Alex Jones, because Matt Drudge and Alex Jones are the people that are actually telling the truth. And if you actually look into it, if you actually, and I'm not asking you, like I said before, to take my word for it. Look into it yourself, please. Please look into things yourself, please, because the more people that we can wake up, the more people that we can show what's happening, or the more people that we can encourage to think for themselves. And that will bring the establishment down. We don't really need that much. We don't need that much to bring them down. Once we get a certain amount of the population woken up and being active, all the house of cards comes tumbling down, because they need us. They need us to keep this whole show of the shit show. They need us that keep this shit show. And excuse my French, I don't really like to cuss, but this shit show that they have, this illusion, this mass delusion that they have going, they need us to keep it going. And if they have just enough of us saying no, everything will stop. And I encourage everybody to bring that to fruition, because if we can do that, man, it's going to be a different America. It's going to be a different world. It's going to seem like it changes overnight once these people go to jail, because the true spirit of freedom, of innovation in America has been suppressed but not crushed. And it's being suppressed down by the weight of this tyranny. And once it is lifted enough to break the bondage, it's just going to collapse. And all that energy and all that goodness in America is just going to come sprouting out like a flower of liberty. And it's going to be unprecedented. It'll be the greatest moment in history. And I implore you to be a part of that greatness. And we will bring them down. I'm Daniel Maddox, and I'm just saying.